Checkered Lounge once again. I'm Annie, your Aussie F1 fan from Down Under, diving straight into the latest fun racing, speedy drama, and all the basics of the best sport ever, Formula One. Now today we are back with a very special episode because a very hot bombshell has dropped in the world of Formula One. What is going on at Red Bull Racing? Christian Horner has been sacked from Red Bull Racing with immediate effect after being team principal with them for 20 years. 20 years since 2005. Now the fifth longest stint ever in the history of Formula One as team principal. He's basically the fabric of this team, Red Bull. 20 years is unbelievable. He's built the Red Bull team name from the ground with two iconic spells of success with Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel. Even after the era of Hamilton, after he came in, Horner still did what he needed to do and gave Verstappen the car which he needed to, again, do what he needed to do. The fastest car which Verstappen needed to win his 4 world championships. And I think a major turning point for the Red Bull team where cracks was starting to show in this, I guess, perfectly created team where Christian Horner was so long linked with the name of Red Bull was obviously his significant scandal with him being accused of doing the things he was accused of doing. Definitely tampered with the environment in the team. The team definitely became unsettled since 2024. So taking his place will be Alan Permane, currently from Racing Bull's V-Cup, promoted to team principal, as well as Lauren Mekes, also from Racing Bulls, who will be taking over the CEO duties over at Red Bull Racing. 2 other senior high-level leading figures have also left the team, alongside Horner, effective immediately, Chief Marketing Officer Oliver Hughes and the Group Director of Communications, Paul Smith. So how was this news delivered? Well, a team member from Red Bull filmed him giving his speech in which he was the one to face directly inform the entire team of his departure, and Sky Sports was the one who uploaded this video clip to their Instagram page where we saw his speech, which was pretty raw, pretty emotional. It was kind of crazy that we as F1 fans online on social media were able to see that clip, which again was uploaded from the official Sky Sports Instagram page, where Christian did state that he is still employed under the Red Bull company. He is just no longer working with the team from an operational capacity, which is interesting. He's still receiving the salary, but I think it is just the small public step before quietly letting him go completely. But who knows? Christian was not given any reason as well as to why he was let go, but I think it was inevitable. I think everyone saw that coming, F1 fans included, and in my point of view, it probably would have happened sooner had Max not DNF'd at Austria and they just needed to figure some things out. But to be honest, it was clear that on the performance side of things, the Red Bull Racing team had been going poorly in this 2025 season. Now, although Christian Horner has been accused, he may not have done some pleasant things, and it was pretty much understood or obvious to many fans that Joss, Max's father, didn't see eye to eye with Christian. It was difficult when Max had been with the team and Horner since 2016, and they've worked together closely to deliver those 4 championships. He is definitely the most decorated team principal out there, with the second highest number of race wins under his belt as team principal for Red Bull Racing. He was the one who built the empire of Red Bull we see so highly dominate F1, and we've seen it for a good amount of years. For example, Sebastian Vettel's stint as world champion and Max's, especially 2023, an absolutely masterful season for Red Bull, winning 21 out of the total 22 races. The only other winner out of Red Bull Racing that season was Carlos Sainz, back when he was in Ferrari, that good old Carlos Sainz in red that we all miss very much. But Christian Horner helped build this insanely fast car, this powerful design, which molded the Red Bull team to be one to fear in the world of Formula One. Unfortunately, though, this year definitely hasn't been up to those standards and expectations, which we so highly hoped, because after 4 consecutive world championships, everybody had expected Max Verstappen to deliver that 5th, but it isn't going to be this year. It hasn't been going so well. And now, especially after so many poor decisions made by Christian in the Red Bull Racing team principal role, For example, demoting Liam Lawson to Racing Bulls right at the start of the season, so early at the season, didn't even give rookie Liam Lawson, New Zealander, a chance, and immediately replacing him with Yuka Tsunoda, which nobody expected to be WDC material. Even though he was delivering good points, good positions, good finishes, good results in the V Cup, nobody expected him to be promoted to the Red Bull team so early in the season. But they took a gamble, I guess, after everything was just falling apart internally. I guess they took a gamble, rolled the dice. But now Yuki Tsunoda is struggling just as bad with the car, consistently placing well below the top 10 in races. For example, he finished P15 at Silverstone, whereas Max finished P5. Now, they only received 10 points in that entire weekend in total as a Red Bull team, all delivered by Max. And now that's a common occurrence this season. It's the expectation now. Those results, we expect it. It's no longer a surprise. It's not going well over there. Sure, some of the poor decisions, including the well-known treatment of the second Red Bull driver's seat. It's a curse now. It's a curse. And it's always been a trend, a significant one, starting with Daniel Ricciardo. But it seems like Christian wanted Daniel back in the Red Bull seat many times. So I believe those executive decisions always came from higher up. Obviously, Helmut Marko made some horrible decisions, but still the culture there as a team already began to crumble and tense up after HORNER scandal. So yeah, I feel like the Red Bull years are beginning to fade just a little. We're seeing much more confidence and raw power in the cars, in the teams, and the engines, such as McLaren and Mercedes, especially after Lando Norris's first ever F1 career win in Miami last year in 2024. I believe that was the moment where everybody saw, the F1 drivers, the F1 fans, and everybody saw, yep, the McLaren is starting to be the fastest car. The McLaren, what is now the fastest car in this season, and from Miami, where everybody just saw that it began to fade, it began to die a little. We saw the hype behind Red Bull. It became uncertain. The future of Red Bull racing became uncertain, even though Max still pulled through and received the World Championship in 2024. I think everybody saw that it might be the last one in a little while. Even if a little while just means this year. It might be that Max gains another championship next year, but we don't know. Now, Max moving to Mercedes is obviously a really hot point right now. It's definitely a hot point. There's rumors in the paddock. Everybody's whispering about it. Everybody's thinking about it. But, I mean, if Max truly believes that Mercedes can give him, provide him, present him with the best opportunity to take that 5th championship next year or the following years, then Mercedes is obviously going to do really well with Max, isn't it? Because everybody wants Max Verstappen right now. He is the generational talent which everybody knows can delivers and always shows us why he is the Max Verstappen, in my opinion, the greatest driver of this era. Just give him a good, fast, reliable car and he won't fail. He will not fail to show us how it's done. It's obvious how this year, without him in that first Red Bull seat, Red Bull Racing would be in last place in the WCC. Red Bull would be in last place with 7 points because that's all Yuki Tsunoda has delivered this season, 7 points. And the other 165 points were delivered by Max Verstappen. If Max Verstappen was his own team in the Constructors, he would still be placing 4th, which is actually insane because McLaren is a total effort. The points in McLaren and the Constructors is a total effort between 2 drivers, right? So it'd be McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, and Max Verstappen alone as a driver delivering 4th place points. And it's just disappointing that it has resulted in this with Red Bull Racing. And Red Bull just can't do the job for him this year. Then it's clear. I mean, the fact that he's able to pull that RB21, that car, into P5 just back in Silverstone is a testament to his abilities. So it's definitely really interesting. Very interesting to see where Max goes next. Because, obviously, despite rumors and all the whispers, in hindsight, it feel like it would be the wrong move to get Max into the team, into Mercedes. It would be the wrong move decided by Toto Wolff. If I was Toto, I wouldn't do it because even though Max is the driver that everybody wants, the driver that everybody knows is going to deliver them the Constructors' Championship, the Drivers' Championship, I don't see him being unhappy with the star duo he's got now. George Russell and Kimi Antonelli are splendid together, delivering the points and the results. Kimi's only a rookie, an Italian rookie, and he's doing very well. Although engine difficulties and reliability issues and a couple of DNFs, he's still doing great. Aside from Hadja, who seems to be the iconic rookie this season, and George is probably having the best season of his Formula One career right now. So it would feel a bit wrong if Toto decided to drop one of them for Max Verstappen. And if that does happen, now again, if I were Toto, I wouldn't do it because I would be very happy with the duo I got now. I believe that Kimi Antonelli is WDC material, and clearly the Mercedes team believes that as well. But if it were to happen, if Verstappen decides to sign with Mercedes, which right now, let's clear it up, there's nothing left at Red Bull that's holding him back to the team. Loyalty-wise, that's Max's decision, but there's nothing actually substantial. There's no incentive back at Red Bull that's making him want to stay, because all the dream members, the dream mentors, the dream high leaders have left, such as Jonathan Wheatley and Adrian Newey. They've all left to other teams. There's no incentive for Max to stay at Red Bull because they've no longer got the fastest car. They've no longer got the resources and the abilities and the leadership to give him his 5th world championship. So now he's got to find another place. But going back to it, if it were to happen, it would probably be George who would be let go from the team. If it were to happen. Again, bad decision, but it would be George because Kimi, they have put so much trust, effort, belief, and resources into this Italian rookie since way before he joined F1. They believed he was WDC material. They signed with him and they put so much resources into training him and making sure he would be WDC material. So I believe if it were to happen, if Max would potentially move to Mercedes, who's going to get the boot? It would probably be George. Now, especially with Cadillac coming in next year, the next year, 2026 season, where there's going to be, instead of 10 constructors on the grid, there's going to be 11 constructors on the grid. There's going to be 2 extra drivers, 22 drivers, which is insanely more competition, isn't it? So in general, his chances of winning the championship this year seem possibly quite low. What with the DNF in Austria, which a DNF for Max Verstappen seems pretty unsatisfactory, pretty unacceptable. He's gonna want to come back next year even stronger. Going on with there's nothing substantial holding him back to Red Bull. He has an unreliable teammate, a teammate who was not delivering, who was not backing him up when he needs it. So Max is carrying the team on his own, isn't it? Now, here's another incentive for him to move to Mercedes, where the Mercedes. So first of all, the 2026 engine with the new details and everything, the 2026 season seems to be a lot more engine focused, engine based, where the fastest car is going to be dependent on your strongest engine that you can construct. And the Mercedes engine so far seems to be that it's going to be the strongest and it's going to be the best. So out of all the teams, it seems most likely that they have the biggest chance of winning the WDC next year. Actually, it's between Mercedes and McLaren, but there's absolutely, and I'm not reading the driver's mind here, but in my opinion, there's absolutely no way that Zach Brown or Stella are going to drop either Oscar or Lando. They are literally the dream team. They're getting consistent McLaren 1-2s looking at that front row of the grid, and they're doing spectacular. They're probably the best drivers with the best cars, so there's no way they're dropping either of them. So McLaren is out of the options for Max Verstappen because, honestly, no one is that desperate to drop 2 spectacular drivers. So it's probably going to meet Mercedes, or, you know what, I wouldn't be surprised if he joined Alpine or Sauber, because we don't know the future of Sauber, do we? We don't know the future of Nico Hülkenberg or Gabriel Bortoleto, seeing how I expect in the 2026 season that the grid is going to switch up very, very largely. We're going to see major differences. We're going to see a lot of people just... Because keep in mind, Mercedes have not renewed their contract for George Russell or Kimi Antonelli. actually, I think might be Kimi and Antonelli, but George Russell's contract has not been renewed, which is a little disappointing, seeing how could they drop to George when he's technically the only Mercedes who's been pretty reliable this season. He's delivering. Again, he's having his best Formula One season with great wins, great results, bringing in those points even when the car just seems like it's not going to survive out of that track. Such as in Silverstone, I was surprised he kept that car on the track for that long because he was just absolutely, the car was almost to death on that Silverstone weather and he made it. So really happy for him. Now, let's go into it more in the whole being sacked with no reason. It's really interesting because I believe there's three major umbrella reasons. Three reasons as to maybe potentially why. So, number one, there could be a bigger scandal involving Christian, which is yet to be uncovered. It may probably even bigger than the previous scandal. And so maybe we haven't heard about it yet, but internally they have, and this is the way they have chosen to deal with it. Or has he been sacked in order to keep Max? Was that one of Max's conditions, such as, oh, I'll stay, I'll 100% stay, as long as you sack Christian Horner. Like, I don't want him, get him out of it. And you know what? Potentially, that could have been Joss's doing. Like his father, we see how they don't see eye to eye. We've seen that kind of tension between them. And although Joss isn't Max's manager per se as his father, with that father's passion, I would say he has some ability to do some crazy stuff. Oh, here's the last one, and I think this is a pretty interesting one because if it is confirmed, oh, that would do a lot of things in the world of F1 and Max Verstappen because he's the hot one. He's the hot one that everyone wants. So the last reason, did they sack Christian Horner because he failed to retain Max? As in, the contract has already been signed, it's already been cancelled. He failed to keep Max. He lost him. They've lost literally the most valuable thing they have to the Red Bull team because without Max Verstappen, without Christian Horner, their decorated team principal who has held them together like glue since 2005, what is Red Bull now? Their reputation? Destroyed. Being honest, out of all the teams on F1 grid, Red Bull seems to be the most disliked. They're pretty unpopular and everybody seemed to be pretty happy about the fact that Christian Horner left, but their reputation destroyed. Their car, not even a good one, and they are struggling so bad with this reputation over the second Red Bull seat just because some people think that they're building the car around Max and Max is the only one to be able to drive it, or is it because their car is just so bad that Max is such good of a driver that he's the only one who's able to control it, to manipulate it into a way that's just plain drivable because Yuki and all the other drivers, Gasly, Albon, Ricciardo, Perez was a good driver. I think Red Bull just didn't believe in him enough or they were just too picky about it and ended up with Liam Lawson in the new season and quickly, poor guy, replaced by Yuki Tsunoda. But you know what's good about it is that Liam Lawson seems to be doing very well in the V Cup, which is actually interesting here. They have promoted Laura Mekies into this new CEO duties at Red Bull, and what's good is that Laura Mekies seems to be doing such a good job in the V-Cup. Like Isaac Hadjar, the star rookie. Oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan of Isaac Hadjar. He's been doing so well as a rookie. Probably the best rookie after Kimi Antonelli. Him and Liam Lawson are actually doing good in the V-Cup. You know what's more surprising? The Racing Bulls, the second team under the Red Bull organization, it's not the primary one, it's not the primary Red Bulls, but they are producing better results than the actual strong, presumably strong Red Bull team. That's crazy. Laura Mekies is doing splendid things with this team, and so they have been promoted. Christian Horner has been sacked, and in that speech of which he gave, it's interesting how he said that he's still salaried under the company, but no longer from an operational capacity. So what exactly is he doing? And I think that's a thing that we must be thinking about. And you know what? All of this has been really interesting, but some of you guys are only beginning a F1 journey or just wanted to hop in here to find out. So I've been saying that Christian Horner is Red Bull's incredible team principal, one of the most decorated team principals, and he's been with them from the start, guys. They brought in this young Christian Horner and just believed in him into bringing this team to what honestly has been a great historical reputation so far. They've been a great team. They've been a strong team, one to fear, partly because of Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, but also because this leadership which held the fabric of the team together. But you guys have no idea who Christian Horner is or no idea what he has accomplished. So let's go through it. Christian Horner, let's see how he started. He started in 2005, appointed as team principal, becoming the youngest team boss on the grid at the time. He said that they gave him the keys and told him to get on with it, and get on with it did he do it. In 2006, just a year later, here's a good one. Horner brings in Adrian Newey to Red Bull, which changed the trajectory of the team forever. Now, here's an important thing. Adrian Newey did do impeccable things to Red Bull. He just helped them do incredible stuff. And you know what? That's a major thing, because Adrian Newey was one of the 3 to just leave Red Bull. He left to Aston Martin. And now Aston Martin has that great asset, that valuable asset, and Red Bull lost another one of the OGs, one of the people from the original start of the team, who, when the Red Bull Drink Company decided, hey, to promote this drink company, let's do all of these insane extreme sports, which they do really well. But currently in F1, their future looks a little foggy, a little unsure. Now in 2006 as well, Red Bull secures their first podium with a P3 finish by David Coulthard in Monaco. And so David Coulthard, if you guys do not know, is a very, very successful and respected F1 commentator, F1 presenter, but was formerly an F1 driver for Red Bull. So that's pretty special. And in 2009, Horner welcomes young German race winner Sebastian Vettel to the team. And if you guys don't know, gosh, Sebastian Vettel is one of those icons, that generational talent, a 4-time world champion, and he is extremely respected, guys. He just retired, but everybody is... There's been rumors, actually, of him coming back in sort of the capacity, the role as a team principal or some kind of leadership, because he would do amazing. Everybody, actually, all the F1 fans, including me, I support this, want him to be the FIA president, but you know what? Mohammed Ben Sulayem doesn't seem to be letting go of that role so soon, and I will not share my opinion on that. 2009, Red Bull wins their first race at the Chinese Grand Prix, followed by 5 more victories that season, and that was with Adam Webber and Sebastian Vettel. If you guys do not know Adam Webber, he is an Australian driver who did really well and is currently Oscar Piastri's manager. Seeing those two Aussies link up, we love that Aussie energy. In 2010, Horner leads Red Bull to their first Constructors' Championship and their first Drivers' Championship, won by Sebastian Vettel himself. And that is the start, guys, of the very, very first special successful stint of the Red Bull powerhouse. They went on 2010 to 2013, continuing the momentum, and wins 4 consecutive Constructors and Drivers Championships. Now, doesn't that sound familiar, guys? That consecutive momentum of championship winning and it just ending. And that sounds familiar, and kind of scared if that's going to be Max Verstappen's story that we read back to in a few years' time. But now, 2014, despite not winning the championship, Horner's new hotshot Australian Daniel Ricciardo still brings home 3 victories. Wow. By the way, Vettel departs at the end of the year for Ferrari. Okay, so the year afterwards, not being able to win his 5th championship after winning 4 consecutive, he leaves the team for Ferrari. Does that sound familiar, guys? Max Verstappen winning 4 championships, and is now, there's rumors on the rise of him leaving for another team. Gosh, guys, I think this is a curse for Red Bull, because why does it all sound so familiar? By the way, everybody misses Daniel Ricciardo. Everybody loved his smile. He was the warmth in the F1 paddock that we didn't see so often, and he was the Australian that brought Australia pride. Now, in 2016, after no wins, by the way, no wins in 2015, which is that. See, a lot of people are saying, oh, it makes sense that they would sack Christian Horner purely for poor performance. But this is not the first time that Red Bull has experienced poor performance. It's not like they've been a straight winning team the entire time since the start. They have had disappointing moments. So there's definitely more to the story. There's more to the story which we haven't heard about yet, and we will probably hear in the following races, especially at Spa, which might be the time when we hear where Max Verstappen is going for the 2026 season. But there's definitely more behind, because there's no reason for this just to happen. It's definitely not out of the blue. We definitely saw it. It was inevitable. But let's finish this little historical replay of Christian Horner's career before we move on to my review of the F1 movie. After a winless 2015, a mid-season decision is made to bring Max Verstappen, hey, listen to that name, Max Verstappen, in from Toro Rosso. By the way, if you did not know, Toro Rosso was the name of Racing Bulls, the second Red Bull F1 team back in the day, but they changed the names like a million times, but now has settled on Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. What an interesting name, what an interesting name. By the way, his first race with the Red Bull team, he instantly repays Horner and the team with the victory. Can you get that? His first race with the Red Bull team and he gets a victory. Like, I don't know anyone else who could do that. Now, in 2021, what a special year for Max Verstappen fans because Red Bull finally mounts a championship charge again. Their second successful stint after the Sebastian Vettel era leads into the Max Verstappen era. And this is all after the Lewis Hamilton era, guys. That's ended. We've moved on to Max Verstappen, where Christian leads a team into their first title in 8 years, winning the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship. Consecutively, 2022 to 2024, Red Bull maintains their dominance with 3 consecutive Drivers' Championships in the following seasons, as well as 2 additional Constructors' Championships in 22 and 23. Who won the Constructors' Championship in 24, you say? Because that's missing from the list. McLaren, yes, they won the 2024 Constructors' Championship, and who helped them get that? Lando Norris. Now, in 2023, Christian leads Red Bull through the most dominant season in F1 history. The most. And guys, I've said this before, securing 21 wins out of the 22 total races. Let's just say that, 21 out of 22. That's only one. A 7th driver's title and a 6th constructors championship. In 2025, after a 20-year tenure, Red Bull announces that Christian Horner is departing the team with immediate effect. And that has been the story today, guys. And that was a hot new bombshell that everybody needed to know about because gosh, that is an insane news to wake up to. And also, Christian Horner didn't know what he was walking into that morning, going into the Milton Keynes-based HQ, and he just walked in and they were like, hey, you're sacked. So that's happening. Hey guys, let's move on to my F1 movie recap, which I saw this weekend after, I think, it released in June, guys, and I only saw it this week. Why? Because, well, it's a pretty hot movie, guys. Everybody was buying tickets, and before I knew it, tickets were sold out, so I had to move to a later weekend, but thank God that I finally saw this movie because it was sensational. And I've said this before, but an epic sport like F1 it calls for a phenomenal movie. Brad Pitt and Lewis Hamilton, the producer, really brought out this sport in this movie because it was incredible. Sonny Hayes, wow, this 60-year-old washed up F1 driver who's driving around doing any competition that he can find, just put him in a car and he doesn't even touch the trophy. He doesn't even receive the money. He will receive the bonus though. That's what he needs to actually live on the streets, guys. But Sonny Hayes, 60-year-old, and spoilers here, guys, if you haven't seen the movie, but 60-year-old and goes up into this kind of like back market F1 team, kind of similar to Haas or something, or like Alpine, but Apex GP with this new rookie, and they don't start on a good basis with each other. They kind of hate each other, but at the end of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, he wins the Grand Prix, and still then he refuses to touch the trophy because it's bad luck. It was really hilarious because it was filmed during the 2023 F1 season, so it was really hilarious to point out all these drivers from the 2023 grid, such as Nicholas Latifi, and then we saw Checo Perez, and we saw Carlos Sainz in red Ferrari, guys. That was a big moment for me. Sadly, didn't see Daniel Ricciardo. Didn't even get any moments, but I was excitedly putting out everything. Now, I watched it in IMAX because obviously, for a movie made for IMAX, you gotta get the full experience. So I watched it in IMAX in the recliner seats, and gosh, was that a comfortable experience. I was leaning all the way back. I was practically lying down watching the movie, and I loved it. Now, before I went to watch this movie, obviously because it came out so early before I actually came out to watch the movie, but a lot of reviews from true F1 fans were saying, Oh, it was extremely unrealistic. It doesn't even match the true vibe of the sport. I wish it gave more the true essence of the sport, and it was pretty unrealistic and all that. And while I agree that it's unrealistic, obviously, because guys, all those crashing that Sonny was doing, he was crashing left and right. He was playing dirty. He was pulling out like he was not listening to his race engineer, and he was saying, "Oh, guys, listen, Plan C for chaos." Plan C does not equate for chaos, by the way, guys. That is not true. But obviously, it's unrealistic because it's a Hollywood movie with starring Brad Pitt as the main character. Guys, you cannot expect it to be realistic because it's not a documentary. Like every sport movie has always kind of been unrealistic because a movie is fictional and is not supposed to be realistic. Nevertheless, I enjoyed it. It was a fun experience sitting there watching all those cars racing by. I was actually so tense in my seat for those last moments. Oh, especially the crashing moment where his car just like on that sausage bump and then like flipped 360 degrees all the way in the end and landed, and he somehow survived. Burns. Oh, with that fire crash reminded me of that really big crash, which I cannot remember the name now, but it was a really big crash.
Okay, so now editing back onto this, I definitely remember the name now. It was Romain Grosjean, who was the man who walked out of fire.
That is a great story. But the movie was so cool. IMAX is such an incredible experience. If you have never experienced IMAX here in IMAX Sydney, we only have the one and only IMAX City in Darling Harbour. You need to go watch it right now. Go watch the F1 movie if you have not. It's such a good movie. And again, I think a lot of people had too high of an expectation for a Hollywood movie. At the end of the day, it's a Hollywood movie, and just enjoy it for what it is. You know what I mean? It still had cool cars, guys, and I think that's the main essence of F1, cool cars. Even with all the drama, at the end of the day, it's about the racing, it's about the driving. And you know what Ed Sheeran's song says? Pedal down and just drive. And that's what y'all gotta listen to. My opinion on like the women representation thing in the F1 movie, a lot of people were commenting, oh, that was a bit questionable. It was kind of, I had no problem for the romance plot because, hey, that's kind of what romance is. If they want to add a subplot, they're going to add a subplot. Who's to stop them? But the fact that they made there's only one female mechanic, that poor girl, and they made her the only one to be clumsy. Right from the start, she's bumping into the drivers. And then the other guy's like, oh, don't kill our main driver. And she's the only one to mess up and make them have this absurdly long pit stop. She was the only one to mess up. She was the clumsy one. She's the one who didn't know what they're doing. I liked the character development. They didn't make her end the movie still being the clumsy girl. She grew. She became the cool mechanic. But I didn't like that they made her the only one who was clumsy. Like, somebody else could have been clumsy, but you know what? That's the way they chose to make the storyline, and that's not my problem. But I still enjoyed it at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. Did you have a good time? Did you not have to squirm in secondhand embarrassment? Because that's my pet peeve about movies, when they make secondhand embarrassment so embarrassing that I literally have to pause the movie, but I can't do that in a cinema. But I liked it, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. So hot news right now, Christian Horner sacked from Red Bull Racing, and go watch the F1 movie now. Well, that's all today on the Checkered Lounge, guys. Once again, I'm Annie, your Aussie F1 fan from Down Under, diving straight into the latest fun racing, speedy drama, and all the basics of the best sport ever, Formula One. Till next time, see ya!